I lived with my ex for 2 years and we had plans to get engaged. From the outside, everything seemed perfect. We had a cozy little apartment, shared dreams for the future, and a relationship that, to anyone else, looked solid. But inside, I was struggling. I didn't know how to put it into words back then, but I felt restless and disconnected. One day I made some new friends. They were lively, exciting, and offered something different from the life I had grown used to. Being around them gave me a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in years. I thought introducing them to my ex would help. He met them, got along with them, and I convinced myself that everything was fine. But around that time, I started hiding things. I created a private Instagram account, one my ex didn't know about. The woman from the couple encouraged me to and showed me her own one. I took her guidance, and soon enough, a new world had opened before me. On it, I posted risque photos. Nothing outright explicit, but enough to attract attention. The followers came quickly, men who left flattering comments or sent direct messages. It was intoxicating. All these men sliding into my DMs, salivating after me, some offering payment for in real-life action. I knew it was wrong. I knew it would hurt him if he ever found out, but I craved the validation. I told myself it didn't matter because I never revealed my face. It felt harmless, a secret indulgence that wasn't really hurting anyone. Then I got introduced to a polyamorous couple by my new friend couple. They were open about their lifestyle, their relationships, and everything seemed so easy for them. I started confiding in them about my relationship. Not honestly, but in a way that made me feel justified for the growing divide between me and my ex. I told them he was controlling, even abusive. None of it was true. He was kind, supportive, and patient. But I needed a reason to explain why I felt so trapped. That lie opened a door I should have kept tightly closed. What started as friendly exchanges with the couple turned into something much more. I cheated on my ex with them, on several occasions. Every time I felt the shame creep in, but I buried it. I'd go back home, act like nothing had happened, and even send him intimate photos to keep up the illusion that everything was fine. I was leading a double life, lying to everyone around me, but I didn't know how to stop. Then he found out. He stumbled across my hidden Instagram account. He didn't say anything right away, but I could tell something was off. I should have come clean then, but I didn't. A few days later, he found my messages. All of them. The lies I told my friends about him, the conversations with the couple, the videos, everything. It was nauseating. He was furious. I panicked, denied everything, and tried to talk my way out of it, but he wouldn't let me off the hook. He told me he had read my messages, seen the proof, and there was no way I could lie my way out of this. I finally admitted the truth. I'll never forget the anger in his voice or the look on his face as I confessed. He called me every name you can imagine: cheater, liar, manipulator, and he was right. I had betrayed him in every possible way, and he had every right to be angry. I thought he'd leave, but he didn't. Instead, he made me leave. He told me to pack my things and get out of the apartment. He said he couldn't look at me anymore, that I had destroyed everything we had built. I tried to apologize, begged him to let me stay and work it out, but he wouldn't hear it. He was done. I packed what I could and left that night. I stayed with a friend, but it didn't feel real. I kept thinking about all the moments we shared in that apartment, how we'd first rented it, moved things in together. I decorated every inch of that apartment myself. I was sad. I slept for hours on end. Now I'm left sitting with the mess I made. I told my friends the truth, that my claims of abuse were lies. I told the couple I couldn't see them anymore. But none of that fixes what I've done. I hurt him so deeply, and the worst part is knowing I'll never have the chance to make it right. I keep replaying that night that I met the couple in my head, wishing I had made different choices, wishing I could take it all back. But I can't. He's gone, and I don't blame him. I'm looking into starting therapy to understand why I did this, why I let myself destroy my life like this. But therapy is so expensive, and money is tight. I have just enough for a deposit for a new apartment. Some days I consider taking up one of the offers from my DMs, but then I snap and realize I can't ever sink that low. I cannot ever disrespect myself like that, but respect doesn't pay bills. Some days I feel like I'm making progress, and others, the regret is so heavy that I can barely breathe. I wish I could tell him I'm sorry, but I know he doesn't want to hear from me. I don't know how to move forward from this. I don't know how to forgive myself. All I know is that I can't be the person I was anymore. I have to change. I just hope someday I'll be able to look back at this and know I've grown, even if I can never fix what I broke. Story 2, I, 34F, told my husband, 35M, about my emotional affair roughly 6 weeks ago. We've been together for about 9 years and married for 4. The affair lasted around 3 months and was entirely online, through messages, calls, and video calls. It became particularly intense in the last few weeks before I confessed, threatening to almost become physical, which was why I chose to confess, because I knew I shouldn't cross that line. When I initially told my husband, he seemed to handle it surprisingly calmly. Apparently, he had been having suspicions for a while. Unfortunately, I kept slipping back into contact with my AP until just a few days ago, when I finally cut ties for good. Once my husband discovered we'd been talking again, he became furious and ended up screaming and throwing things. Something he deeply regrets now. Since then, we've been living separately but have stayed in touch. A few days ago, we met up to talk, and he apologized for his outburst, promising he would never direct that anger toward me. I do believe him. He's incredibly caring, respectful, and thoughtful, and he's done so much for me. Yet I've had to admit I don't feel love for him at this point in time. In the past, I tried communicating my emotional needs, but he would often become overwhelmed, defensive, or shut down. He often would cite his working too many hours a week as an excuse. Over time, I stopped trying to address these issues altogether, mostly because I'm naturally very conflict avoidant. Now I realize how unhealthy that was. We recently started marriage counseling, and I'm also in therapy for anxiety and to process everything that's happened. My husband is looking into therapy as well for some of his own unresolved issues, though it might be a few weeks before he can begin. It's a step I'm glad he's taking, since he wasn't previously open to it. The lack of emotional intimacy in our relationship has really taken a toll on our physical connection, leaving me feeling unfulfilled. Of course, that doesn't excuse what I did. I fully accept responsibility, and I'm deeply ashamed of having hurt him and dismissed his feelings. I still care about him very much and want him to be happy, but I'm unsure whether I can find happiness in this marriage. I've shared all of this with him, and despite how I feel, he's willing to work on rebuilding our relationship. I'm torn because I don't want to make a rash decision I'll regret, but I also don't want to drag out a situation that could keep us both unhappy. If any others who've been in my shoes, wayward spouses, have managed to reignite love for their partner, I'd really appreciate your perspective. Similarly, if any betrayed partners have gone through a similar situation and feel comfortable sharing, I'd be grateful for your insight. I just want to do what's best for both of us. Now some comments. I was in a very similar situation to yours a couple of years ago. I didn't feel love for my husband at the time, and I didn't think I could ever get it back. But with therapy, a lot of self-reflection, and consistent work on our communication, things started to shift. Love didn't just come back one day. It grew slowly as we rebuilt trust and reconnected emotionally. It's hard work, and it takes both of you being all in, but it's possible. One piece of advice: focus on healing yourself first. If you're not in the right place mentally or emotionally, it's hard to be fully present for the relationship. Sending you strength. I'm the betrayed spouse, BP, in a similar situation. It's been over a year since my partner's EA, and we're still together, but it hasn't been easy. The most important thing for me was seeing genuine remorse and consistent effort to rebuild trust. Therapy helped me a lot, not just to process the betrayal, but to figure out what I wanted and needed moving forward. It sounds like your husband really wants to make this work, but you also need to figure out what will make you happy in the long run. Just don't rush your decisions. Take the time to truly evaluate your feelings in the relationship. You sound very self-aware, and that's a good start. It's also great that both of you are seeking therapy. It shows a willingness to grow, even if the future of your marriage isn't clear. My advice is to avoid making any big decisions right now. Let therapy and time do their work. Rebuilding a relationship after an EA is a long process, and you're still early in it. Whether you stay together or not, Focus on building healthier communication skills and addressing your needs in a constructive way. These lessons will help you in this relationship or any future ones. Good luck to you both.